Welcome, writers, readers, and friends to the Authors Talking Bookish podcast. I'm Donna Norman Carbone, author of All That Is Sacred.
And I'm Hope Gibbs, author of Where the Grass Grows Blue.
We're two debut writers traditionally published by a small publishing house, bringing to you all the experiences that we as authors learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
We'll give you insights from the inception of a book idea to publication and beyond. And along the way, we'll share our love of books from the writer's perspective.
Hello, friends. Welcome back. This is episode 72. And today we have an author interview with Wendy Haller, author of women's fiction, children's literature, and also poetry. I am Donna Norman Carbone, and I am joined by Hope Gibbs. Hi, Hope. How are you?
I am great. How are you, Donna?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Loving the spring.
Well, it's pretty much summer. I can't believe that half the year is already over. And as you can see, I'm in a completely new setting.
Yeah.
We sold our house of 16 years, close on it in 2 days. And so I am in a new area of Tennessee. So it's been a little bit of a change for me in the past month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I
Thank
like
you.
the new atmosphere. Looks
Well,
great. I love all the windows.
Yes, it's a very different style of house, but it's a new chapter. We're officially empty nesters. My daughter just graduated from the University of Tennessee last month, so it's official. All of our kids are out of college.
Wow. Double congratulations.
Well,
That's
thank
wonderful.
you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited about this, what we're getting ready to do, because when we started this podcast, which we have our 3-year anniversary coming up, which I still can't believe.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing is to talk to authors, because you get so much knowledge from their experiences, and I also get inspired by these authors and these writers.
Yeah, I actually met this author, Wendy Haller, at some local events here in Connecticut and thought she'd be a really good fit for our show. She is a multi-genre author,
Mhm.
and we have not had a multi-genre author who
Yeah.
writes children's books before. So I thought we would love to get her on and just kind of pick her brain about how it transitions back and forth. So
Well,
let's bring her on.
absolutely. Hello, Wendy. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you guys?
Hi, Wendy. It's great to have you
Hi.
here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and happy anniversary.
Thank
That's
you.
so exciting.
Yeah, I can't believe this is our 72nd episode.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
crazy.
So,
That's
All right.
fantastic.
We've
well,
learned
Wendy,
a lot.
we can't wait to hear about your experiences and your advice. So let's just go on and get this started with your very impressive bio. Wendy has always been a storyteller at heart, even if life took her on a few detours before she found her way to the page. After a rewarding 19-year career as a special education preschool teacher, she's thrilled to be living her dream as an author. As a mom and former teacher, Wendy crafts children's books that spark curiosity and inspire meaningful conversations between parents and children, all wrapped up in fun, engaging stories. Her novels, on the other hand, are heartfelt escapes, emotionally rich coming-of-age tales that are raw, real, and relatable. When she's not writing, you can find Wendy out in nature, flowing through yoga, or cozied up on the couch with a cup of good tea, a good book, and her 2 cats vying for her lap space. She lives in Connecticut with her husband and 2 children who keep her days feel full and her heart even fuller.
Love
Yes,
that.
and I am almost an empty nester, so I relate to you a lot, Hope. I have one
Yes.
graduating and one going into her junior year. So,
Wow. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
yes.
It's a
yes.
fun stage of life. I was very much dreading the empty nest, and
Mhm.
the birds come back, I have
Yeah,
found.
they
So
Yeah, they do. And I think for now, with them being the age that they are, it's that balance of, okay, you're home. How do I balance being mom
Mhm.
and like momming you because I want to mom you,
Yeah,
and not, and just letting you do your thing, you know.
right.
And it's a funky balance because now we're transitioning to a friendship with our
Yeah,
Mhm.
children.
which
You
is
know,
nice. I
yeah.
enjoyed that transition and
Yeah,
still
I'm
do.
really, really enjoying it. You know, the conversations are so deep and meaningful on a different way. And
Mhm.
yet, my son, who just turned 23 on Saturday, is graduating in 2 weeks. Um, he he still has that, like, am I going to be okay, Mom? You
Yeah,
know, and I'm like,
I
you're
know.
going to be fine. You know, it's a leap of faith we all had to take.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? My oldest is, excuse me, my oldest is 34, and they don't lose that. They don't.
Yeah.
None of
Oh,
them have. I have 3 kids. I have a 34-year-old who just had a baby, a 32-year-old who's getting married in 2 weeks, and, my youngest is 29. And there's still that, mom sort of, but let's hang out as adults, which
yeah.
is
Yeah.
fun. Yeah,
I think that's where I'm at right now.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it is, you're right, Hope. It's fun.
It
It's
is.
fun. Yeah.
It is fun. Well, let's talk about your books. So I'm
Yeah.
going to pull up your book that just came out last year. From
Yes.
this day forward, I absolutely love the cover. And I pulled these quotes directly from Amazon reviews. A great love story. The story will stay with you. A hopeful, uplifting story after the happily ever after. I loved that one.
Yeah.
So, can you give us? I've read the synopsis of this book. It sounds incredible, but could you tell us about this book?
And it absolutely. And that quote, after the happily ever after, is the essence of the story. It's from this day forward. So Jay and Emmeline have, they're newlyweds who have all these plans for their life together, and then life throws them their first obstacle. And it happens to all of us so many times in our lives, whether married, single. But you know, when you come together as newlyweds, you have all these visions and dreams, and it's that first obstacle that really tests that, for better or worse, wedding vow. And how do you move forward from this? And Jay is a patrol officer, a policeman. He sustains a traumatic brain injury while on the job at work. And his brain injury, because there's this huge umbrella of symptoms and side effects for this silent illness, for him, it affects him where he gets light, sounds, he's sensitive to, and he gets migraines, reoccurring migraines, and the lights and sounds exacerbate it. Well, how can you do your job as a patrol officer in a car if you can't turn the lights and the sirens on? Um, and so it really makes him test his identity, and I relate to that so much, having been a former teacher who had to leave my profession due to my own chronic illness. And if someone said, who are you? I'm a teacher. What do you do? I'm a teacher. It defined me.
Mhm.
And that was probably, now I can say, didn't see it at the time, that influenced this story quite a bit. And his journey I related to, because it was like his identity was taken away in an instant. And then unfortunately it was a tragic accident, and a girl lost her life, and then there was survivor guilt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So he's dealing with this emotional battle within himself. And then his wife, Emmeline, is dealing with, she's a nurse. How do I support my husband? How can I? So she's teetering on that wife versus caretaker role, and where do I step in? And so they both have their own journeys as to, can I accept this version of myself for him, and can I love this version of him, and how do I love this version of him? And she tells her friend Josie in the book, old J, new J, old J, new J. And Josie says, why old J, new J? Why not
Mm,
just J?
mm.
Like, you have to let go,
Yeah, yeah.
and you have to accept this version. And it's really their journey together, their journey as individuals, and then coming together as a couple to create a new path forward. So it really is that. So from this day forward, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this together? And I always say when I'm telling people, like at my author events about this story, it's a contemporary romance, but it's not your Fabio on the white
Mhm.
horse. You know, this is the down and dirty,
Hmm.
you know, like after the happily ever after. It's the down and dirty stuff that married couples have to deal with.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it's a romance in that it's the little things. It's the
Yeah.
little things, you know, when, you know, it's the bringing you a cup of coffee when you're just so tired you can't get out of bed. You
Mm.
know, it's those bringing dinner home because you can't make dinner, you're too tired to make dinner. It's those moments
Yeah.
that matter.
Oh, I
Would
love
So
you
that.
that's
say that Jay is more of a main character in this book than Emmeline, or both of them together?
It's a dual POV book, so it does
Yeah.
balance it. I write, I have my third novel coming out in July, and all my books have been dual POVs because I really like looking at both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I really like the perspectives and
Yeah.
seeing it from both sides. So I would say it's, yeah, they're both kind of the main characters. He is definitely more to the forefront because so much is happening with him.
Right.
But in the end, like as you get to the like, you know, three-quarters away into the book, her story kind of takes on a different light as the revelation of issues she had with her own father and his
Hmm.
undiagnosed bipolar and why he left her and her mom because they're both raised by single mothers. And her having to let go of he's going to turn into my dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have difficulty writing multiple POV, or like what are some challenges that you encounter with that?
I actually feel more comfortable writing dual POV than I
Yeah.
do, yeah, single. And I think the challenge for me is really getting into each character's mindset
Hmm.
Yeah.
to really engross myself into what are they feeling in that moment. And I love writing dialogue. Dialogue and writing emotions, I would say, is my strong point as an author. I am definitely like the show don't tell is more
Yeah.
of the struggle with the
Oh, yeah.
description. So my first draft is always I tell,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I it's all dialogue. And then when I go through the second draft is when I start getting into the description, the room, the feelings of the like the gestures and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the challenge is for me is really
Mhm.
making sure I'm defining the characters in the scene by those little nuances.
So
Cool.
I had originally was going to ask you about were there any personal experiences that influenced this book, but obviously, you know, you said that your own, you know, struggles with the chronic illness kind of also inspired it. But how much research did you have to do for this book?
It was a lot. It was a lot. And I was a journalism major. I love interviewing people. I love research. But there's something about, you know, researching to gather information for myself, for my own knowledge, because I consider myself a lifetime learner, versus research to be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So if a police officer picked up this book, he would feel seen. And
Yeah.
I'm using the right language and, you know, their journey and what it means to be, you know, a public servant. And then the same thing for Emmeline. And in the story, the secondary plot in the story is her mother, Emmeline's mother, is dealing with her older sister who has early onset dementia. And Aunt Viv is the comedic relief throughout this
Mm-hmm.
story because she's just such a hot ticket.
Yeah.
And you never know if she is actually like, is it dementia or is it Viv trying to get away with stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and there's that story. So this book really deals with mental illness on a few
Yeah.
different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I had to do the research. I interviewed a police officer in the town that I live in. I have two cousins that are nurses. I interviewed them and talked to them about what they went through as far as training and, your nurses of different ages, or so being a geriatric nurse,
Mhm.
and then talk to people who dealt with as a caregiver with someone with dementia. So there was a lot of, oh, I also interviewed a therapist he worked at one of the hospitals in Connecticut, Hospital for Special Care, and he was a therapist for patients with traumatic brain injuries for over 12 years, I think. And he was just a wealth of knowledge for me. And the police officer that I interviewed had sustained a traumatic brain injury. He's actually sustained a couple. He sustained it when he was serving over in Afghanistan, but he really was able to tell me how it changed his marriage. And
Mm,
his marriage didn't survive.
Yeah.
mm,
And then I find out from the therapist who, Dr. Jim in my book is actually modeled after Dr. Jim Beam, who I interviewed. And he was just, again, a wealth of knowledge and a lovely man. And he was saying that a high percentage of marriages don't make it
yeah.
because of the change that
Mhm.
happens. So it was very interesting to delve into that world and really immerse myself. But
Mhm.
living with a chronic illness and having to leave a profession I'd been in for 20 years,
Yeah.
I could relate to Jay's struggle through all of
Mhm.
that. And then having, my husband trying to support me through all that, I could ask him questions. And then after the book was done, I sent it to all the people I interviewed and said, check my facts.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I want, and the same with the book I have coming out, which deals with breast cancer. I want anyone who picks up the book, who reads it, who has experienced it or cared for someone that's going through it, to feel seen, to
Yeah.
relate without
Yeah.
it being a trigger, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the book that's coming out. It
Yeah.
is Regret No More. Again, I love your covers, and we'll show your
Mm.
other book because they all very much all kind of blend together, like in a good way. But
Yeah.
I love that this is what I got off of your website. You
Hmm.
can't rewrite the past, but you can choose what comes next. So
Yeah.
tell us about this book, when it's coming out, and give us a little synopsis of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Regret No More is the second in the Flannigan Girl trilogy, and each book is written from each sister's perspective of how they were raised and how it affected them in adulthood. And so the first book was from the youngest sister, Claire's perspective, and Regret No More is from the oldest sister, and then the third book will be from the middle sister. And really, all of my women's fiction novels have had this thread of generational healing.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of us do a lot of that healing from our childhood, from, um, just moments that defined us. They kind of almost come to the forefront, whether we're raising our kids and having to figure out how we're going to parent them versus the way we were parented, or moments in our life, like in the Flannigan Girls, where Claire being the baby, she was left at home. So the Flannigan Girls is the story about three sisters who were raised in a house where the parents put the roof over their head, the food on the table, but there wasn't a lot of love. They didn't show
Hmm.
love.
Hmm.
Dad's number one priority was his career, his job. He was a lawyer, his job. He was always working. Mom was in the house, but she was the purpose person. She made the dinner, she did the laundry, she just wasn't very affectionate. So the girls really bonded together and took care of each other, especially Becca, the oldest. However, when Becca and Claire went off to college and went on, Claire was left,
Mhm.
Mm.
with the parents through her formative years.
Yeah.
And so I'll just go to Flannigan Girls first before I talk about Regret No More. And for her, when she is older, married with 3 kids of her own. Her husband's job starts to require him to travel, and this fear of abandonment comes out that she thought she had let go of, because that happens, where we think, oh, I'm over that. Why is that bothering
Mhm.
me? I overcame that insecurity or whatever. And it really takes her sisters to come together. And so she starts feeling that fear of having that feeling of abandonment when her husband starts traveling. And it really takes the sisters to find their way back to each other as adults.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
that transition that we all go through with our siblings, where we grew up together in the same house. We understand the experiences we had because we were living in it. But now we're out in the real world. So how do we find our way to a friendship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
I want to
that relationship?
For
Mhm.
those who are watching us on YouTube, I'm putting up again this book cover. Love the book cover, and I loved this review of the Flannigan Girls. I loved Wendy's debut novel. It made me laugh and cry. It gave me all the motherhood feels, the good and bad. I could see myself in the main character and understood her feelings.
Mm. And I
Speaking
do.
of
I think,
that,
yeah.
I was going to mention your tagline on your website, which is because every woman's life has a story worth feeling. And
Mm.
I love that. How did you come up with that?
Um, I had a wonderful web designer who's a friend of mine. I actually had her son as a preschooler, and our kids grew up together. And she had said to me, "You need to come up with like some, a tagline." And I'd always use the words "embrace the journey. You never know where it
Mhm.
will lead." But she's like, really something honed into your books. And I played around. I love to like write things out with words and stuff, and I played around with it. And feeling is my books emote feeling, they evoke
Yeah.
feeling. So I knew I wanted in that. I knew I wanted it because it's women's fiction, and it's about women and how much we overcome and how
Yeah.
we still keep evolving as we age and grow. And so that kind of just playing around with words and sentences, and that's kind of how it developed. At first, it was every woman holds a story worth feeling. And I talked it out with my web designer, Ari, and I'm like, hold is bothering me. Hold is bothering me.
Yeah.
Something, everyone, and I'm like, they're still letting go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still holding on. They're not letting go,
Right.
and then when I switched it to has, I'm like, now we're ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
love
love
that.
that.
Well, so you don't only write women's fiction. You
Yep.
are a multi-genre writer. Um, what inspired you to write both poetry, fiction for children's books, and women's fiction? And as a personal note, how do you find time to do all of it?
Well, I'm very random. I I just whenever I hear a line or words or something that um, piques my interest, I write it down in my notes app. I'm like, I don't know why that stands out to me. I'm gonna write it down later and save it for later. Um, and then even the middle of the night or whatever. And so poetry for me, that was my diary. Since I was a teenager, I wrote my experiences, whether observations in life or things happening to myself, I wrote them through poetry. So that's where my poetry came into play. And it was actually my son who encouraged me to publish my first book, which was a book of poetry.
Hmm.
When
That's
I
neat.
was out of work for my psoriatic arthritis, I'm immune compromised, so I couldn't go back into the classroom because we had another surge of COVID. And he's like, "This is it, Mom. This is your time." And he's like, "I want you to write." He was going off to college. He's like, "I want you to write, and I don't want you to stop writing till I come home for the holidays." And then he came home and I had nothing. And he didn't ask me, thank God. And I was like, okay. He went back to school. I'm like, I could sit here and have a pity party for myself,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or I could use this time as a gift.
Wow.
And as I said, I was a journalism major, but I wasn't confident in myself to let my voice be heard
Hmm.
out. I
Mhm.
wrote for my school newspaper, the school magazine, but to really do that professionally, and honestly, now I get it. I
Mm.
didn't have enough life lived.
Yeah.
And
That's an
now I'm like, I have the experience. And
yeah.
so I did. So I published my poetry book and I submit, and I'm in a number of anthologies now with my short stories and my poetry. And so that I do now more. I just put
Yeah.
into anthologies my poetry and my flash fiction and prose. And then my children's books, you write what you know. I
Yeah.
was a teacher. And so, mostly my books come out of conversations I had with parents during parent-teacher conferences of what they were struggling with.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So I was like, how can I support them?
Yeah.
So
What
that's
is
where
your I'm
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Did
No,
you
go ahead.
what is your process in terms of like are you writing an adult fiction novel and then maybe take a break and write a children's book, or do you finish one before you go on to the other?
It's more the first. It's like right now, Regret No More is at the publisher. They'll
Yeah.
have it for like 90 days. I've already done a lot of research for the final book in the Flannigan Girls trilogy. I have my outline already plotted out. I need to write it, but I'm not ready yet. It's
Mhm.
coming. I feel it brewing,
Yeah.
so I know it's coming. But I just have this thing where if I go too many days without writing, I get it antsy.
Oh,
So
Mhm.
I have to write something like
Yeah.
in between when I took a break between drafts, my editor had the first round of drafts with her and I had nothing. So I wrote a short story and that I was going to submit to an anthology and I sent it out to all my newsletter subscribers. I was like, here's a short story just because I had to write something,
Yeah.
and it's just this desire that I have. It's so hard to explain. And I just said, oh, it's all the voices in my head. And it's so funny because last night I was reading an ARC book that I am reading for a friend of mine, and I'm reading her book. And the character for not the next book, but the book after that, I have the scene playing in my head for her story. And I'm like, Marin, I'm not ready. I need time. I still have to write Lainey's story. Just pause.
Yeah.
So they just talk to me. And
yeah.
again, my poetry is really, that's my journaling.
Yeah.
So, Wendy,
Yeah.
we started this podcast, Donna and I did, all the things that we learned the hard way so you don't have to. Because
Oh,
we
yeah.
were publishing, we were debut novelists, and we really didn't know a lot of things. And so that's the reason we started this. What is something either in writing, publishing, or marketing that you've learned the hard way?
I'm very friendly, but I'm a huge introvert. So putting myself out there at author events was very challenging and hard for me. My husband can tell you he came with me to my first author event. I had only two books out, and about 20 minutes before the doors were going to open. It was the Kappa event,
Mhm.
Donna. This is
Yeah.
yearly event with like 60 authors in our state, and it's pretty popular. And I only had two books. I had the imposter syndrome. I begged my husband to sneak me out the back door.
Yeah.
And then when I did my first Barnes and Noble event, he hid in the shelves for me just because I needed to know he was there. So
Yeah.
for me, the hardest part was getting comfortable. It's hard being vulnerable.
Mm.
And we're in a pay to play business as indie authors.
Right.
So, on top of getting comfortable putting yourself out there, I just realized I'm a grassroots girl.
Mhm.
I'm just, I love to write. I'm inspired to write, and I hope that I find the readers that are interested in the stories that I'm writing to tell.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I know there's a lot of talk about the AI and everything. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't, even, for
Yeah.
me, it's really, I'm grassroots. But in this pay to play industry, I would say the hardest part on that end is
Mhm.
figuring out where you're going to allocate your funds. So,
Mhm.
being a multi genre author, I already knew when in January, when I made my business plan for the year, I
Mhm.
knew that I wanted to get the final 2 books in the Flannigan Girls trilogy out, so
Yeah.
I would not be putting out a children's book this year.
Yeah.
Well, that's excellent advice. Wendy, we could talk to you all day. You've got so much knowledge and you're so personable. But what we like to do at the end of our shows with our
yes.
authors is we have this new segment. Whoops, wrong one. It is called the rapid fire questions. And they're just simple questions. We just wanted to get to know you outside of just as an author. So Donna is going to start us off with our rapid fire questions.
All right, Donna,
Sure,
I'm
you
ready.
ready?
Easy, we promise.
Bring it on.
These are easy peasy. What's your
Okay.
favorite genre to read in your spare time?
Women's fiction.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could live in a fictional world, what would it be?
Secret Garden, the book, The Secret Garden. I want to live in a secret garden.
That's a good one. You
Mhm.
and I have a lot of similarities, Wendy. Do you prefer writing early in the morning or late at night?
I would say midday. I'm a midday girl.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite all-time children's book?
Velveteen Rabbit.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I will say, Alexander and the No Good, Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Day.
yeah.
I reference a lot because we all have days like that, even in Australia.
I love that book.
If you had to choose one writing superpower, what would it be?
Oh, goodness. If I could choose one. Oh, book blurbs.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Book blurbs.
Yeah.
Those are the bane of at least me. It's so hard.
Okay,
Yeah.
final question. What is your go-to snack when you are writing?
Oh gosh, what is my go-to snack when I'm writing? I'm just not much of a snacker.
Or beverage? Probably tea?
Oh, yeah, I like tea. I have a whole thing when I'm writing. I light a candle, I spray my essential oil mist that I make my own. I light my candle spray, I got my cup of tea, and I put my AirPods in and I got music on and I go into a whole zone.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
But I'll
That's
never
awesome.
turn chocolate away.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Or milk.
Dark.
Okay.
see, I like white chocolate, but
Okay.
Wendy, it has been a pleasure getting to speak with you. And I know our viewers are going to want to look you up on social media or your website. Where can they find you?
Well, my website is wendyhallerauthor.com, which is easy peasy. And same with Instagram, Facebook. It's Wendy Haller _author on Instagram or Wendy Haller, author on Facebook.
Well, Wendy, thank you so much. And we so
Thank you,
appreciate you
guys.
being on. And everyone, you guys can find us at Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, and on Instagram, or go to our website at authorstalkingbookish.com. And before we go, Donna, what is our next episode?
Our next episode is an anniversary celebration, and the theme is then and now. So we hope you'll tune in. And thank you, Wendy, for being with us today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me, and congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
And
Yeah, really.
congratulations on your upcoming release. And give us the actual date for your release.
So it is actually, yes, the second book in the trilogy, and you don't need to read the first to read the second. It is July 19th on my birthday.
Oh,
well, happy
awesome.
early birthday and
Yes,
book
yes.
birthday.
Yes.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hope Gibbs.
And I'm Donna Norman Carbone. It's time for you to get to work.
We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with another tip from your author friends.